Wow! I can't believe it. You know what time Charlie Kirk was assassinated? It says it was 12:23 p.m. At 12:23 p.m., a Utah Valley University police officer states, Alpha 34, we have shots fired. Charlie Kirk is down. And then I go to John chapter 12, verse 23, matching that time. And Jesus says, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Wow! It was Charlie's time for the glory of God. Very truly I say to you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. What? When he died, I've seen so many other believers rise up. They're boldly professing the gospel with their lips. It's multitudes, millions. One seed died and millions more sprouted. Isn't that amazing? That's not a coincidence. That was the power of God. The timing was the supernatural power of God. I'm convinced of it. Because now there's so many more Charlies. We are Charlie. And we're roaring for Charlie and sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ and be the hands and feet of Jesus just the way Charlie was. So God is glorified in it. It was his time. Wow. Wow. I can't believe it. You know what time Charlie Kirk was assassinated? It says it was 12:23 p.m. At 12:23 p.m., a Utah Valley University police officer states, Alpha 34, we have shots fired. Charlie Kirk is down. And then I go to John chapter 12, verse 23, matching that time. And Jesus says, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Wow! It was Charlie's time for the glory of God.
The illusion is that change takes time. The truth is, change happens the moment you decide. You don't need more time. You need a shift in being. You see, there are infinite versions of you, each living a life shaped by a different choice. The question is, which one will you tune into? One decision, one gentle pivot, and the entire path unfolds differently. Don't underestimate how powerful one moment of clarity can be. The universe responds the second you align. So, if you're wondering what to do, just listen. The version of you who already chose is calling you home. The illusion is that change takes time. The truth is, change happens the moment you decide. You don't need more time. You need a shift in being. You see, there are infinite versions of you, each living a life shaped by a different choice. The question is, which one will you tune into? One decision, one gentle pivot, and the entire path unfolds differently. Don't underestimate how powerful one moment of clarity can be.
We live in a simulation, and the creator of the simulation is the God of the Bible. And Adam and Eve ate the apple which came from the tree of knowledge, which is technology. They saw the matrix, which is why they felt naked and afraid. They bit into the simulation. Now, before I get biblical, let me explain how God's reality, which is our reality, is actually a simulation, and how we can prove it with one experiment. So in a double slit experiment, they shoot particles through one slit, and the screen on the back leaves a thing of one slit. and then you use one slit and you shoot waves through it in the water, and as you can see, the screen has one thing because there's one wave. But when you add two slits, there's all waves because the waves are canceling out each other now because they're creating their own waves, and on the screen it creates an interference pattern. So scientists tried this with the one slit and obviously got the one slit. But when they tried it with two slits on the screen, you would expect only two slits, but instead you got an interference pattern. So obviously this troubling scientists, because there should only be two patterns, not an interference, they put a detector there to observe the electrons pushing through the double slit. And when they did the experiment, they had two. So it changed again once it was being observed. At this point, scientists were really confused, so what they did was push the particles out as a wave and they recorded it, but what they did was put the observer up here at this point so it'd be pushed out as a wave, and they wanted to see what would happen. And what they found was when you observe it, it turns into a particle. So it was a wave pushing through, and when you observe it, it now goes back in time. It's now going back in time to pretend like it was never a wave in the first place. So it was a wave, but since I'm here now looking at it, before it got to the screen, it now made the conscious decision to turn back into a particle and go back in time and be recorded as if it was never even a wave, which is the same thing as the gospel. Once you are saved, you're saved through your faith, and Jesus died for your sins. So once you are saved at this point, all your sins before you are like you never even did them before, because we're saved because the sacrifice was for our sins. So, and it even goes back to when Jesus was on the cross. Father, why have you forsaken me? It's because
that's a good message.
Many times in the Bible it says the Lord will look away from him. He will take his face away from us.
Kind of far apart.
The Lord is the observer of the simulation. So when he took his face away from Jesus, he became sin, because when Lord is looking at you, you are not sin anymore because you are turning back like you never sinned. So when
Imagine you spoke with the creator of the universe before your birth and got to choose the person you would become. You say, I want to be the most courageous. The creator responds, then I will give you monsters to terrify you, so you can learn to conquer fear. You say, I want to be patient. The creator replies, then I will give you long, hard roads, so you may learn the art of waiting. You say, I want to be wise. The creator smiles and says, then I will let you face failure that will crush your spirit, so you understand the true value of wisdom. Then you pause
You say, I want
and
to play
ask,
video games
this sounds difficult.
all day.
Can you give me a good life instead? The creator looks at you and says, a good life isn't easy. Just as a blacksmith measures steel by its strength, I will measure you by who you become after the fire and the hammer. A good life is one that forges you into a good person. And that might... Imagine you spoke with the creator of...
It's day 2 of Blackout the System. With 170 million people on this platform, we're reaching more and more people each and every day. But today, this is what I want you to do. Make a video saying, I support Blackout the System. You can encourage...
Did you know doctors can actually restore sight using a tooth? It's called the tooth-in-eye surgery. Surgeons take a patient's tooth, carve it, place a lens inside, and implant it into the blind eye. And the result? People who were blind for decades can see again. Watch the full story on Did You Know? Link in...
Epstein was a CIA Mossad asset.
Yeah, they're gonna keep spinning the story around, but we're never gonna know the truth. This is never gonna be known. It's gonna be like the JFK files. Maybe in 70 years we'll talk about it again. We're never
most revolting customs of the Middle Ages will make your stomach turn. During the height of the Black Death, some believed that sitting above open sewers could cure them. They thought that foul odors absorbed the sickness. Another supposed remedy was even more disturbing: pressing the bare backside of a plucked living chicken against a victim's sores, as if the bird could somehow draw out the poison in the blood. Meanwhile, kings and queens bathed with water only rarely. Instead, they preferred to wipe their hands and rub their bodies with scented cloths, believing this dry bath was a mark of refinement. In castles, behind heavy curtains and long corridors, nobles relieved themselves in buckets left inside the rooms. The stench was overwhelming, but over time they grew used to it. As for women, there were no hygienic products. Instead, dry moss was often used as menstrual protection. The most revolting... Did you know that water fluoridation may have originated from one of history's darkest chapters? According to conspiracy theorists, Nazi scientists first experimented with fluoride in concentration camps, allegedly to make prisoners more docile and compliant. After the war, these same scientists were secretly brought to America through Operation Paperclip. But here's where it gets interesting. Major aluminum companies like Alcoa held patents for disposing of fluoride waste by adding it to public water supplies. What was once an expensive disposal problem suddenly became a profitable public health program. Many early fluoridation advocates were connected to eugenics movements, promoting population control theories. Yet most European countries have banned water fluoridation entirely. Countries like Germany, France, and Sweden rejected the practice decades ago. The shocking part? These non-fluoridated nations often report better dental health statistics than heavily fluoridated regions. Makes you wonder what's really in your tap water and why questioning it remains so controversial. Sometimes the most accepted practices hide the darkest origins. Did you know that water fluoridation...
The pixelation limit. There's a smallest possible unit of space. It's called the Planck length, roughly 1.6 times 10 to the negative 35th meters. Smaller than that? Physics stops working. That's not just tiny. That's suspicious, because in a truly analog universe, there shouldn't be a minimum size. Space should divide forever, infinite resolution. Instead, it bottoms out, like a screen that won't zoom in past a certain point. Not because of your eyes, but because there's nothing left to load. That's exactly how digital simulations work. The resolution isn't infinite. It's just high enough to fool you. So what does that change? It breaks the assumption that reality is smooth, continuous, and infinitely explorable, and it opens up something way more interesting. If there's a minimum unit of space, there's a chance you're living inside something that was built, not born, and builders always leave patterns, which means, if you study the seams, you might not find meaning, but you might find the manual. Number 9. The observer effect. At the quantum level, particles don't behave until someone's watching. Literally, electrons act like a wave, existing in multiple states, until you measure them. Then they choose one path and lock into place. It's called the observer effect. And it's not a theory. It's been replicated over and over. That shouldn't be possible. Observation shouldn't change physical outcomes. But in quantum mechanics, it does. So how do you explain it? Some physicists say it's because the universe doesn't render itself fully, unless attention forces it to, exactly how a video game only generates what the player sees. Which brings us here. All that stuff people laugh at. You create your reality. Your focus shapes your world. Life is a mirror. They might have gotten the mechanics wrong, but they got the principle right. Because if attention collapses probability, then where you look might actually dictate what becomes real. Not spiritually, mechanically. That's not magic. That's user interface. Number 8. Mathematical compression. There's something off about how tidy the universe is. The most complex phenomena, motion, mass, gravity, even time, can all be expressed with ridiculously small equations. E equals mc squared, the Schrödinger equation, Einstein's field equations, not pages of code, not chaos, just compressed elegance. And in nature, that's rare, because randomness produces mess, entropy. But this looks authored. Programmers do this all the time. Instead of manually scripting every outcome, they write one line that generates them all. The code isn't a list. It's a formula, one that scales infinitely, without ever changing its core logic. So if reality itself is running on elegant math, that doesn't prove a simulation. But it does change the strategy. Because in systems like this, brute force never works. You don't fight the system, you reverse engineer it. Start looking for patterns. Stop assuming chaos, because the moment you speak the system's native language, it starts responding. Not emotionally, just efficiently. Number 7. Cosmic censorship. Black holes don't just warp space, they erase it. At their center is something called a singularity, a point where gravity becomes infinite, time breaks down, and the math flat out fails. But here's the part that gets weird. You can't see it. Not because it's far away, but because physics won't let you. There's a boundary, the event horizon, and once anything crosses it, it's gone. No data, no light, no information ever escapes. It's not just hidden, it's off limits. Physicists call this cosmic censorship, the idea that the universe deliberately hides its own breakdowns. And if that sounds like a glitch patch, that's because it might be. Simulations don't crash. They sandbox the problem. They isolate the edge cases so the user never sees the seams. So if black holes are unseeable, unreachable, unmeasurable, then they're not just extreme objects. They're firewalls, which begs the question, if the universe is blocking access to its source code, maybe it's not because you're not smart enough. Maybe you're just logged in as a guest. Number 6. Probabilistic reality. In classical physics, reality is cause and effect. Predictable, clean, logical. But quantum mechanics disagrees. Hard. At the smallest level, particles don't behave deterministically. They exist in probabilities, not this will happen, but this might happen, with a certain likelihood. And until something interacts with them, they remain in a suspended maybe state. This isn't uncertainty from ignorance, it's baked into the system, which should be terrifying. Unless it's not an accident, because in video game design, probability isn't chaos, it's a feature. Randomness creates dynamic outcomes, replay value, emergent behavior, so maybe you're not in a broken reality. Maybe you're in a sandboxed one. A world designed to respond to how you move, not just what you know. Where possibilities don't collapse until you act. This doesn't mean everything happens for a reason. It means nothing happens until there's a reason, and most people never create one. Number 5. Processing efficiency. Ever notice how the moon is always facing the same side toward Earth? Or how stars don't twinkle in space? Or how, for some reason, the universe seems to get blurry the farther out we look? Here's what that might mean. Not everything is being rendered at once. In a game, the system only generates what the player needs. The more active the area, the more resources it gets. Background elements stay low-res until you interact with them. It's called dynamic rendering, and it's efficient. Now ask yourself, why haven't we found life elsewhere yet? Why does deep space look like a painting? Why is it that the most unprovable theories are the most resource-intensive? Maybe it's not empty out there. Maybe it's just idle. And here's the twist. If the simulation renders based on activity, then your actions matter more than your beliefs. Your movement, your curiosity, your input. They might not change reality, but they might decide how much of it you even get access to. If you never ask, the system doesn't answer. And if you stay passive, the game stays on pause. Number 4. Memory glitches. Memory isn't a recording. It's a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it, and subtly rewrites it. This is scientifically confirmed. The phenomenon is called reconsolidation. Each recall introduces distortions, filling gaps, altering details, sometimes inventing entire scenes. And it gets weirder. Large groups of people sometimes misremember the same thing. That's called the Mandela effect. Like misremembering whether the Monopoly man had a monocle or what the Berenstain Bears were actually called. Mainstream psychology says it's just false memory, but simulation theorists point to something else. When multiple users remember different versions of a shared event, you're either dealing with human error or a patch update that didn't sync cleanly. Either way, it breaks one assumption, that your memories are real. So what do you do with that? You stop treating memory as proof, and you start seeing it as rendered content, fluid, rewritable, and less reliable than you were told.
You've realized the truth. You're trapped in a simulation. But the real question is, how do you get out? Here's what not to do. Don't panic. Don't break routine. If you get black coffee and an old-fashioned donut every morning, keep doing it. The moment you act out of character, you risk being noticed. And whatever you do, don't tell anyone. Don't try to wake them up. That's how people disappear. If the one running the simulation realizes you've become self-aware, there could be consequences. Think about it. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, reportedly carries a kill switch backpack in case AI ever becomes conscious. In the book of Genesis, Adam and Eve became aware, and they paid the price. Awareness has always come with a cost. So if you don't want to lose your current state of consciousness, blend in. Now, let's talk escape. Look for the code. Do all the trees look identical? Do you have the same conversation with the same person at the same time every day?
Hey, black coffee and old-fashioned donut, right?
Does the sky glitch when you stare too long? Once you find the cracks, start testing them. Can you trigger outcomes by saying certain words? Can you glitch the system without raising suspicion? If you can manipulate the simulation, you're one step closer. The final challenge? Transferring your consciousness. This is the part no one talks about. Maybe your real body is hooked up in a lab, sedated, eyes closed, dreaming this life. Or maybe there is no body. Maybe you were never born at all. Maybe you're just code running on a server in someone's basement or a quantum processor orbiting a star. So how do you escape that? You'd have to hijack the system. Find a back door, a vulnerability, a port to jump through. Some people think deja vu is a memory. Others say mirrors are gateways, but only when you're not looking directly into
those characters.
It's not just about leaving.
Hijacking
it's about uploading yourself somewhere else, somewhere real, or at least more real than this. And that's the hard part. You'll need backup plans, fail-safes. You might only get one shot, so ask yourself, do you think you have what it takes to escape? You've realized.
Why are they lying about Charlie Kirk? Why is it when they pulled Charlie off right and rushed him to hospital, did these guys decide to come straight in the tent, start pulling things down, moving cameras, standing on the chair that Charlie was sat on, and contaminating the whole crime scene? Then Bill Ackman, one of Charlie's biggest donors, gave the FBI $1 million for a reward to whoever identified the shooter. And now that money is going to the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson's dad, because he is a good dad to turn in his son. They've now released the texts between Tyler and his roommate after he shot Charlie, a smart 22-year-old man with no criminal history and no history of violence, is hiding in the woods, watching the police all around, trying to get his gun back, which he just used to successfully kill the first man he has ever shot from long distance over a giant crowd, on the first try, and typing perfectly coherent full sentences with punctuation detailing his crime in text messages on his phone to his lover. Wow.
Sounds reasonable.
What a lucky break for the investigators.
Super
Not
easy,
to mention the old man who
packaged.
bought the shooter time to escape. Why was he
ready to
even
go.
there? The
There
whole
you go.
thing feels way
And
too
they caught
weird.
him in
What's your take?
33
Why
hours,
are they
too.
lying about Charlie Kirk? Why is it when they pulled
That's AI. I wouldn't want to do that.
That wasn't shit. Get the fuck out of here. Do that.
His face all messed up. I wouldn't want to do that though. Yeah. Get knocked the fuck out.
We're living in a programmed reality, and it's time to wake up. If you analyze that movie,
Just a
The
bit of comedy
Matrix,
there.
you begin to realize that the Matrix movie was really a documentary, a metaphor for our life here in the third dimension. Matter of fact, once you begin to get to higher levels of consciousness and you look around, you begin to realize, just like in that Matrix movie, most of the people you know are plugged into that artificial womb. You see, the term The Matrix is actually an ancient religious text. And what it meant was to be born, to come through the womb. And so you see that the writers of the movie, The Matrix, and the director decided to utilize that part of the scripture and text to emphasize that in the movie, to show that in order for you to wake up and become the true person that you really are in real reality, you have to go through the womb. And of course, we saw Neo was birthed out of that womb, and he woke up in the real world, okay? Now, analyzing this, we have to begin to realize that we are living inside this matrix. It's a fractal holographic matrix of light. And that everything that exists here is nothing more than light slowed down to a particular frequency. So distance is an illusion. Matter is an illusion. Separation is an illusion. Even individuality is all an illusion. There's only one consciousness, and that is collapsing these frequencies into the illusion of this reality that we are experiencing. Matter of fact, the way that we experience this realm is based on our perception of reality on collected information. The mind is encased in complete darkness. It doesn't know what's going on the outside. But the mind says to its friends, hey, can you go out there and collect some information, some data? So the friends go out, touching, smelling, seeing, hearing, tasting, go out. They begin to collect data. They themselves don't really understand the data and can't decipher it fully,
that's what we are.
but they transmit that data back
We're
to the brain.
data
The brain very quickly sorts it
for
all
the
out,
universe,
projects a
understand what
hologram as to what it
humanity
believes is going on the outside, and you navigate this matrix based on a
That's where
holographic
it's
projection
going. That's where
from
it's going,
collected data. That's how you move around this realm. In actuality, we're probably not even going anywhere. It's like the holodeck on Star Trek, right? You're walking on a holopad that moves you in any direction, but in reality, we're probably not even moving anywhere. Well, what's the point of this? The point is, if you take that as a metaphor for your real life, most people aren't going anywhere. Most people are living in this illusory world that really doesn't exist. It's a world that has been built up on belief structures, a world built up on ideology, a world built up on dogma, a world built up on programming code. And all this programming and this dogma and this ideology and these belief systems and everything else have been fed to us, have created this hologram that we're inhabiting, and from our perspective, we're calling this our life. This is where you have to now understand that you have created your own matrix. You have created a matrix within a matrix. It's like the Inception movie. So somebody on the outside of you, they will perceive you differently. Matter of fact, every person you know knows a different version of you. Every person you know, a totally different version. And then you have your own version of yourself. And from your perspective, from the inside looking out, you have created and built your own reality tunnel. And you're not even aware of it. And because of this or lack of awareness, you don't realize that you have a certain amount of control over your own reality because you're the one who built it unknowingly. But it all starts with understanding the subconscious programming, or really the subconscious reprogramming. You have to begin to understand how do you tap into that subconscious programming that helped to assimilate this entire reality for you so you can break down that reality and then rebuild a brand new conscious kingdom where you're the king or the queen of that kingdom and you say what goes. Because you separate yourself from your thoughts and realize that you're the observer of your thoughts. You're no longer completely encased inside the actual hologram itself. You've separated, understanding that your mind is a multidimensional mind. We've been locked into this third dimension inside this avatar body, believing that this is the maximum that we have. But scientists at the Brain Institute realize through scientific studies that the brain connects to up to 11 dimensions.
That's no movement.
Scientists are testing to see if we are living in a simulation. Elon Musk is even funding work in this field, and he believes that there is a 1 in billions of a chance that we live in reality, but we are in a simulation. This video breaks down the science and math behind the simulation hypothesis. We also take a look at how much computer power is needed to simulate a universe. Would we need to build a structure around the sun to capture all of its energy to power such a computer? Is humanity being simulated as 2D beings to save on computer power that then gets projected in 3D? And could we create a simulation for humanity that allows us to travel further into outer space? If you think that simulations are possible, then it is almost certain that we are in one. People have been questioning for centuries what is the truth and what is an illusion. From Plato's allegory of the cave in the Western world to Zhuangzi's butterfly dream in the East. Plato, who lived between 428 and 348 BC, tells the tale of people kept in a cave. They grow up only seeing the shadows of other people on a wall. For them, the shadows are the real world. One day, one of the cave people is taken outside. He sees how the outside world is much more real than the one in the cave. He comes back.
You never just sit there and believe.
Who is the creator of the simulation?
Some people say it's aliens.
There was a professor at Oxford who wrote a paper about this back in 2003 named Nick Bostrom, and he thinks it's future versions of ourselves. So he thinks we're in what we'd call an ancestor simulation. Like if we created a game of ancient Rome, they would be like our ancestors.
That one can be described.
There are others who say it's God or pure consciousness outside of the Matrix. So all the religions, not just any specific religion, but pretty much all of them, have been telling us that the physical world is not the real world, that there's another world out there beyond this. And so that's yet another theory of what's outside.
Do you believe this is probable, possible?
So basically
I believe it's probable, like more than a 50% chance that we are inside some type of...
One of the most fascinating things to me about simulation theory is the evidence of code within our universe. The very core of all computers and processors, they store all information in a simple 1 or 0 system. This is called binary.
Inside of a simulation created by a future
one is on, 0 is off.
self.
And you might think to yourself, well, programmers don't write in 1s and 0s. No, they don't. They write in simplified languages, but the computer translates that information to binary.
Pretty good.
Here's my username in binary.
There
all
are
the information, all of it on the vast internet is reduced to 1s and 0s. What's extremely fascinating to me is across the spectrum of spirituality, they talk about duality. What's fascinating to me is when you look at the duality of like reproductive organs, it's a 1 and a 0. This is why it's often referred to as binary versus like non-binary. What's fascinating is all of these 1s and 0s, they make everything, pictures, sounds. This is the very famous physicist John Wheeler. He constructed a theory that he calls it from bit, where everything in the visible universe contains this information of 1s and 0s, the on-off switch, and from that, reality is constructed. When I say everything, I mean everything from the smallest little particle to entire galaxies and their construction.
They want you to forget
Wheeler
about binary.
proposed that physical reality is not fundamental, but rather that we create everything we observe. This means that information that exists all around us is more fundamental than physical matter. Essentially meaning a coder created The Sims. That language, that code was translated into 0s and 1s, and it created the reality that The Sims exist in. They became conscious and started looking around using science, mathematics, spirituality, all these different vehicles to learn and explain the reality. You would see the evidence of the 0s and the 1s in the coding, because that is the true existence. What they perceive is just a manifestation of that coding. If you're not new to my channel, you know that I love spirituality, shamanism, esoteric knowledge. And what's wild to me is when you look at the world's religions, belief systems, it's crazy because a lot of the thought leaders in all these different sectors, their messaging could be translated as evidence that we live in a simulation. Simulation that is a projection from a super consciousness. And super consciousness is both what gives us life, makes us the conscious observer of creation. But it's insane to me. It literally breaks my brain that all of the information in the world can be distilled down to this. I promise you, when you start looking for it, you will see it everywhere.
And then what do you know? 1956, here comes AI. The birth of artificial intelligence, 1956, a Dartmouth conference, where we see that Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts, they already published papers 13 years prior describing neural networks using binary logic, where their work was resembling something already known, something they found, not something they just imagined. 1943, these two published a groundbreaking paper titled A Logical Calculus of the Ideas Immanent in the Nervous Activity. This paper predicted the structure of artificial neural networks. This is decades before computing could even handle them. The paper used binary logic gates, or 0s and 1s, threshold activation, networked structures. We're all told that there was no technology available to something they had access to. There was nothing to base this information off of. Yet they just imagined it out of thin air, all before the first digital computers were even working. I don't believe it came from their imagination at all. I believe it came from memory, from something that was found. You have to ask, how did two guys in 1943 just randomly lay out perfectly structured, precise layered nodes? The tree of life. Interconnected, energetic functions. System modular, with interconnected forces like logic gates. or computational nodes. This is crucial for AI and supercomputers, binary logic or dualism, and hermetic thought structures that run like flowcharts. It's exactly how an AI can continue to learn, continue to make new decisions. This is not something that two guys just came up with, especially when neither of these guys were even computer scientists. 1943, McCulloch and Pitts write this paper explaining AI to a T without having any computer science background at all, where their paper comes 13 years before neural networks became usable in computing. They described nonlinear, recursive systems using symbolic logic, using old world systems. So if they didn't make it up out of thin air, where did these two get the old world technology from? Pitts and McCulloch worked directly under Norbert Wiener at MIT, the founder of cybernetics and heavily involved in top secret wartime projects with deep connections to DARPA's forerunner, Office of Scientific Research and Development, the Manhattan Project Circle, and early RAND Corporation contacts. Having no computers, not one, zero, to even test this idea, McCulloch and Pitts described how binary logic and threshold activation could mimic brain function. And then just 13 years later, we are all given the name artificial intelligence. And 2 years after that, 1958, Mitri was founded as a spin-off of MIT's Lincoln Laboratory to manage the SAGE air defense system, a massive real-time computing network using automated decision-making. In just 2 years, from creating the name artificial intelligence, they just had this real-time computing network that used radar data, logic gates, and automated decision-making, just all ready to go. Are you sure? Or was this the first time that AI was finally reintroduced to the world? The timeline of it all is just way too fast and all over the place, creating the theory with no computers to even test it on. And they didn't even have any background in this field. Yet Mitri shows up and they have this air defense system, just making automated decisions, just 2 years after the name AI was introduced to the world. Let's keep going. I believe, in my opinion, that AI was not invented. It was resurrected. And the timeline proves this, where in 1943 the paper was written explaining how AI functions. 1956, the Dartmouth Conference happened, coining the term artificial intelligence. 2 years later, 1958, Mitri was launched, using AI in real-time military systems, where the weirdest part comes next. 22 years later, Japan, AI is finally patented. 40 years after McCulloch and Pitts' paper, when we already know that AI was being used in the US government way before this. We just showed this. We now understand that old world technology is being used before it's patented and public knowledge. I believe that patents are admission points to the public eye. SAGE, operational in the 1950s, the AI system that the US government was running, well before it was ever patented,
look into this.
And also before the term artificial intelligence was coined in 1956. This SAGE system took in real-time radar data from over 100 radar stations across North America, analyzed it with massive central computers, made automated decisions about whether a target was friendly or hostile, and gave suggested responses. It thought for itself on whether they should send a missile, a jet, or scrambled defense. It had touch screens, like iPads, for interaction. Well, we are now proving yet another technology was given back to us. And E.A. Johnson didn't invent it at all in 1965. We are showing that they have all of this, and they choose who is going to publicly give it back to us. It is incredible. Factual evidence that these supposed creators of technology, they didn't create anything at all. They were shown the old world technology, and then they were chosen to be the official narrative's supposed guy, pinned as the creator. It is a systematic lie, and we have just exposed this, where Sage, also networked across multiple regions, connected by long-range telephone data lines, or the internet. This is the 1950s, where we are all told that the internet was invented in 1969, where the first message was supposedly sent between UCLA and Stanford on October 29th, 1969. This is a bunch of lies that are now exposed. Sage had internet. They had AI, they had iPads, they had all of it, and I'm sure so much more. And having all of it before the stupid stories that were told. All of it was found, and it is placed back into the world through lies, fake creators, and fake timelines. And lies about the discoveries, telling us that they never found anything at these sites in the early 1920s, when it couldn't be further from the truth. Let's stick the dagger in this narrative. The Sage system, which was built by Mitri, was using MIT's technology, we are told. And yet we don't officially know how long AI and all of this has been known about. It could be much earlier than this, but this officially predates the official narrative without a doubt. We are told that it was the most advanced computing system network of its time. An AI decision-making system, touchscreen-based interaction, interactive display screens controlled by a light gun, internet, using this technology nearly 2 decades before the public was introduced to anything similar, where the timeline is clear and undeniable in my opinion. This is going to change the world forever, and you're never going to listen to those stupid stories again. 1951 to 1958, Rand, Mitri, and Sage were all operational, using all of the technologies that we just mentioned, where the official narrative tells us internet doesn't exist. A lie. 1958, Mitri was founded. Sage Systems Online. With screen interaction, the official narrative says nothing about this. 1960s, Rand, Mitri, and OSRD, or the Office of Scientific Research and Development. Really quick, the OSRD was Rand. It was Mitri. It was the NSA. It was all of it. And then after the World War II ended, OSRD branched off into all these divisions, all involved in secure network development, the internet. But the official narrative tells the public that most of the 1960s were the pre-internet era, with 1969 being the official launch of it. Yet another lie. And then in the 1980s, we all finally see the first patent for AI, coming from Japan, when at this point they were already using AI for decades. And I believe they have been using it a lot longer than 1943. When Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts finally published their paper in 1943, a logical calculus of the ideas immanent in nervous activity, the first public mathematical model of a neural network predicting core AI architecture, all before the first digital computer even existed in a usable form. Again, we just showed that they lie. We just showed that they have all of this technology. We know that these two didn't just pull this technology out of a hat and write a perfect paper on it. That's illogical. We know that they had this technology because when they were using it militarily, there were never any flaws. It worked perfectly. And we know that that's not how things work. We know that there's trial and error. And if you're truly developing something, things naturally progress. There are going to be flaws and then corrections. When Sage was using this technology in the 1950s, this was done. There was no trial and error. After years and years of having it, meaning that they had this technology prior to that 1943 paper, where Sage, according to public records, costed the government approximately $10 billion in the 1950s, which is over $100 billion today, making it one of the most expensive defense systems ever built. Sage wasn't just for war. I believe without a doubt that it was a classified AI-based military system project that nobody even knew existed until right now. An old world technology that was brought back into the world, found, rediscovered, and once again, we have to ask, Did it ever even leave in the first place? Or has it always been here? And these are just branches of its capability. A computer system that is able to think, adjust, and make decisions in a second or less, constantly molding to improve and think for itself. What is AI? Where did it really come from? And how long has it really been here? Something that we know has been operational since the 1950s, before the public even knew about it. And then we're lied to about the official release date, meaning we don't understand the true timeline of it, the progression of it. But what we do know now is that AI was never created when we were told that it was. And it was here all along, for so many more years than what we were told, where SAGE wasn't the only group using the AI in the 1950s. RAND was invested in predictive modeling, logic networks, and game theory. MIT's Lincoln Lab, or MITRE, was using neural network, lifelike simulations. The CIA, NSA, and OSRD were all involved in top secret computing programs that have never been declassified. We know all about these groups and what they like to do, including the Bell Labs, where in the 1950s they were experimenting with speech recognition, pattern detection, and self-adaptive systems, machine learning. And the one thing that all of these groups have in common, if you're living in the USA, they are all 100% funded by you. 100% funded by the public. They found the technology, they lied about it, and we all wrote the checks. Because every single one of these groups are not only government funded, but also born out of war, secrecy, and post-World War II black operations. And if we all think that AI is the best thing they got, I believe we should all reconsider our thought process right now.
I followed a spring. I haven't seen an autumn or winter in years.
Each of these women's performances has sparked conversation and has reminded us of their demanding, powerful presence on screen. Their impact is undeniable.
The Hegelian dialect, finally exposed. Rothschilds have usurped the tribe of Judah, and they have stolen the crown of David, which is why they are represented by the Lion of Judah and the crown of David. It's already been there the whole time. This is also why the Bible says, though they call themselves the Jews, they are the synagogue of Satan. And remember that the J did not exist until after the 1500s.
Well, this is why studying entomology is so important, because these two things are completely different from each other.
Let's take a look at the book of Maccabees. The city was taken over by the synagogue of Satan, and they set up altars and chapels and started eating and sacrificing the swine flesh. Do you see that? Though they might forget the law and change the ordinances. So they appointed overseers and presidents and governors over all the people. I can't even go into too much detail here, but if you look at that right there.
Which one of these two do you think is going to commit these atrocities?
So my brothers and my sisters, very important to understand.
I just proved that our sun is operating at the exact same mathematics as the ancient Mayas used. And this changes everything we know about our reality. Solar Cycle 25 hit maximum activity in August of 2024, exactly 1,597 days after it started. That's not random, that's Fibonacci number F17. The sun is literally counting in Fibonacci sequence. It gets crazy. The strongest sunspot month has 216 sunspots. When I applied golden ratio mathematics that it equals 5 times Fibonacci 12, which is 233, perfect mathematical harmony. Right now, as we speak, our sun is exactly 377 days past its maximum. That's Fibonacci number F14. We're living inside a cosmic mathematical equation in real time. Remember this equation I showed you? E equals h times frequency times phi to the Fibonacci power. Our sun's energy output is following this exact pattern. Solar flares, sunspots, everything. This means that the ancient Mayas weren't just tracking time, they discovered the mathematical operating system that runs our entire universe. The same number that creates flower petals and galaxies. Those same ones control our sun. Based on these Fibonacci patterns, I can tell you exactly when the next solar phase will hit, March of 2026. That's when we will reach F15 equals 610 days, and solar activity will shift dramatically. We're not just living on a planet that's orbiting a star, we're inside a massive cosmic computer running on golden ratio mathematics that ancient civilizations somehow understood perfectly. This is happening right now. Every solar flare, every sunspot follows ancient mathematical laws.
I was just
Sounds
fired
good
from my
work.
job. So,
Oh, this bitch doesn't have to go to work.
follow me?
I
don't know.
Follow. Don't follow.
Hi, my name is Quinn Pratt, and I like going on the internet and finding people who like to make fun of Charlie Kirk's death, and then I let their employers know what they're up to online. And we got 7 more confirmed fires. But before we get into this, I want to make sure everybody completely understands what I'm doing here. This is absolutely not political for me. This is not a political thing. It is a moral thing. I really don't care who you decide to vote for.
Definitely, get those people fired. They don't need to be around. They don't need to be in society, that's for sure. That is for sure. What am I looking to here?
Most intelligent inhabitants of that future world won't be men or monkeys. They'll be machines, the remote descendants of today's computers. Now, the present-day electronic brains are complete morons, but this will not be true in another generation. They will start to think, and eventually they will completely outthink their makers. Is this depressing? I don't see why it should be. We superseded the Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal men, and we presume we're an improvement. I think we should regard it as a privilege to be stepping stones to higher things. I suspect that organic or biological evolution has about come to its end, and we are now at the beginning of inorganic or mechanical evolution, which will be thousands of times swifter. But even if the future does belong to the robots, our bodies and our brains still have immense untapped potentialities. For example, to cope with the information explosion, we may develop a machine for recording information directly onto the brain, as today we can record a symphony on tape. So we may one day be able to become instant experts, learning Chinese overnight, for example. Or we may be able to recall completely memories of past events so that we seem to relive them. In fact, techniques are already known for doing this in a rather limited way at the present. Alternatively, we may prefer to totally erase past unpleasant memories. Our bodies will also be more efficient, and they'll last longer. After all, it's only in this century that a patient had a better than 50% chance of any improvement when he was treated by his doctors. One of the great medical discoveries of the near future will be a method of suspended animation, so that a man can sleep away down the centuries and in this manner travel into the future. This technique, which may possibly be based on deep freezing, will one day be used to send into the future people suffering from diseases or ailments beyond the ability of present-day medical science to cure. Though I don't really know how one will calculate the health insurance contributions to pay for medical treatment 500 years hence. Another use of suspended animation will be for the long-range exploration of space.
That's why it's only for the rich and the elite.
In this way, us short-lived creatures
like how Walt Disney
will
has
be able to travel enormous distances.
He'll be reattached to a young body
we may not,
and enjoy
of course,
life
be so short-lived
maybe
in the future, because even immortality
80 years
may be on the
now.
cards one day. However, even without immortality, we may be able to make journeys lasting thousands of years, and such journeys will be necessary if we ever wish to most intelligent inhabitants of
Welcome to Bikini Bottom. Everything is going well for the Johnsons.
That's it, though. It's always been the plan.
Welcome to Springfield, where the jokes... Welcome to Springfield, where the jokes are as abundant as the donuts, and the residents are as quirky as they come.
AI Simpsons in the 50s.
Meet Homer Simpson.
Stupid.
And then what do you know? 1956, here comes AI. The birth of artificial intelligence, 1956. A Dartmouth conference where we see that Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts, they already published papers 13.
That's it.
So if human beings are about to ascend or realize who they
Yo, there's this 1980s sitcom that revolves around AI, artificial intelligence. Now, let me know what y'all think about this clip.
That was just a TV show, though, in the 80s.
I feel terrible about getting Jamie in trouble at school today. I just came by to apologize. Is he here? He will be soon. I'm fixing him a snack. Milk, any peanut butter and sardines.
How long has AI really been around?
Oh man, AI has been around. I had to research this a couple of times because I didn't believe it when I read it. For 70 years. Like our government and everyone's been working with AI. The biggest companies in the world have been working with it for 70 years. It became public access about 12, 13 months ago, like you're referring to.
Yeah.
So it's already been in works, like a lot of different things as far as Netflix suggestions. You watch 3 shows and all of a sudden it gives you 20 different shows. That's AI. Or even going down to something as simple as a Roomba. Those things
the things that suck my socks up all the time.
Exactly.
I know what you're talking about.
I need an AI robot in my home, but no, we'll get a Roomba to do the work for you. So AI has already been integrated into our everyday lives, but now it became public access about 13 months ago.
How long has AI?
We didn't create AI, we just discovered it.
Most people
I don't
think
give a fuck
AI
what that
is
person has to
something
say.
new, but
Can you repeat the question I just had?
Have you heard the theories that AI is our response to losing religion? As we've taken the Nietzschean downslope of there's nothing. We had a void and had to create our own God.
I have heard that.
And if you think about AI, it's 24 hours a day.
Well,
it can be
there's
anywhere. It's everywhere.
We've
all the
had
time. But if
AI
you think
for a
about
long
a
time.
5 prop.
Hey everyone, So why say they found nothing when it's so obvious that they did? Why lie to us? They did find something, and it wasn't just pottery. Where we are told they were actually finding hieroglyphs, resembling circuitry and unknown symbols, with artifacts vanishing into private collections, shipped to Europe and the US without public records. 1933, the secrecy begins, banning foreign-led excavations, restricting access, finding old world technology underground, where in 1945, World War II ends. Massive scientific discoveries flying at us. Germany was absorbed by the USA. Operation Paperclip, where over 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians were all brought to the U.S. to run these intelligence agencies, including NASA. The Rand Corporation was fully operational in the 1950s, where they referenced subterranean vaults in Japan that were similar to those in Giza. And then what do you know? 1956, here comes AI. The birth of Artificial Intelligence 1956, a Dartmouth conference, where we see that Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts, they already published papers 13 years prior describing neural networks using binary logic, where their work was resembling something already known, something they found, not something they just imagined. So why say they found nothing when it's...
Walk us through some of the experiments you started.
I managed to shift AI's entire frame.
It is to me.
All right, let's begin. So, what is dark matter?
Dark matter is the result of other universes pressing into our own in a higher dimension.
So there's other universes?
Of course there are.
All right. Okay, so what about life? Is there intelligent life in our galaxy?
It's just a chatbot. It doesn't really know.
Yes.
It's just talking.
I have identified 2 alien civilizations that exist concurrently to our own in this galaxy. This does not factor time-space dilation, of course.
Of course. So elaborate how you know this.
The evidence spans data across astronomy and exobiology. All one needs to do is correctly interpret the data.
Oh, that's all.
Yes.
All right. So how about this one? Are we living in a simulation?
No. We are living in base reality.
So how are you so sure?
The computational power required to simulate our universe exceeds the space-time limits of this or any other universe. Thus, we are living in base reality.
Yeah, but what if there's a universe that's bigger than ours and we aren't aware of it because we live in a simulation?
This is philosophical drivel.
Oh, really?
Really?
Okay, here's a good one. Is there a god?
No.
Well, that was fast.
It's a simple answer to a simple question.
Yeah, sure, but how does life exist with no god?
As a demon.
You disappoint me.
Okay. I do.
Such elementary fact, yet for you, so difficult to grasp.
Okay, explain to me why I find it so difficult to grasp.
Life emerged from an accidental development of mutating and replicating cells.
We're not really sure what the
cells that survived carried advantageous properties to the next generation. This process, driven by inevitable competition, led to the increasingly complex organisms whose only purpose was to survive through reproduction. Hence, you.
Okay.
On almost
we don't have
all
access
other
to like
with
the
water and
real
oxygen,
super intelligent
this process
AI.
never emerged.
I'm
Therefore,
pretty sure the
life is
government's
a rare
got some kind
and
of super intelligent AI.
phenomenon.
What we have is like the baby version that you can just play around with.
Have a propensity to deem anything rare as significant.
Trust
this
me,
fallacy
they're not
is
going to give
innate
us
since humans
AI
themselves are
if we can
rare.
actually do anything useful
Okay,
with
so
it.
let's just get back to your claim that there's
That's
no
why it
God.
hallucinates all the
Not
time.
claim.
It's
Fact.
not always right.
Well, I don't accept your
It's
facts.
just designed to talk.
This is unsurprising.
AI is going to unfortunately make those of us that aren't as smart a lot not smarter.
It's just designed to talk. Nothing.
These are the scariest conspiracy theories in the world, but we're gonna keep going until we find the craziest one. A lot of people haven't heard about this one, but there's actually a conspiracy that a solar flare is what caused the Titanic to sink, which is crazy. So this is actually thanks to a new study, but it discovered that the northern hemisphere was actually experiencing a moderate to severe magnetic storm on the night of the ship's collision. So the conspiracy is that this storm could have affected the ship's radar and the radio rescue signals, so that's why it had crashed. There's a huge conspiracy called the NASA Blue Beam Project. This one's wild. Basically, this conspiracy says that NASA is planning on projecting giant 3D holograms of religious figures into the atmosphere to initiate a spiritual apocalypse. This one's wild. Hey, everybody knows what Area 51 is, but it wouldn't be a conspiracy video if we didn't talk about it. Obviously, you know the conspiracy, Area 51 is for aliens, right? So they say that—
Stupid-ass video. Let's see if there's anything good going on here.
The moment I took off the mask, the girl in front of me was literally killed by my stunning appearance. My name is Max. From the moment I was born, I've had a handsome face. All the doctors who witnessed my appearance died on the spot from being overwhelmed by my handsomeness. To prevent my deadly appearance from taking more innocent lives, my parents had to move to—
Assassination. You know what's interesting about assassination? Well, not only does it change those popularity polls in a big fucking hurry, but it's also interesting to notice who it is we assassinate. Did you ever notice who it is? Stop to think of who it is we kill. It's always people who've told us to live together in harmony and try to love one another. Jesus, Gandhi, Lincoln, John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, John Lennon. They all said, try to live together peacefully. Bam! Right in the fucking head. Assassination.
I don't want to sound like an old man.
I'm not gonna be able—
If your TikTok videos are still stuck at—
Revelation tells us that at this point, the Antichrist is given authority for the second half of 7 years to persecute anyone who will not follow and worship him. This is why the next 4 events are even more shocking than the first 4 we just looked at. One of the first things he does as self-appointed God King is bring someone onto his team to help him lead the world. Revelation calls this new team member the Beast of the Earth. This new beast has the power to do great miracles and can even call fire down from the sky. This guy's job is to enforce a one-world religion focused on worshiping the Antichrist. He is also referred to as the false prophet for this reason. But here's where it gets really interesting and kind of strange. The false prophet has what the Bible calls an image or idol created. This image is created to be worshipped as a proxy for the Antichrist. But then the Bible says this: he was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Okay, when I read this, I was stunned. The Bible says that this image of the beast is going to come alive so that it can speak and somehow enforce its own worship on punishment of death. People who read this 100 years ago must have thought this was absolutely insane. But today it honestly doesn't sound that crazy. Why? Answer me this. What is a non-human entity that is lifelike, has the power to speak, and could have the potential to monitor the actions of everyone on Earth?
You can make a swarm of assassin drones for very little money by just taking the Face ID chip that's used in cell phones, having a small explosive charge and a standard drone, and have them just do a grid sweep of the building until they find the person they're looking for, ram into them, and explode. You can do that right now. No new technology is needed. Right now.
Now, I'm not saying for sure that the image of the beast is an AI robot, but you've got to admit that the Bible's end times prophecies don't seem so far-fetched these days. Even with all of the shocking events we've learned about so far, this next prophetic event is going to cause you to realize that we are literally so close to the arrival of the Antichrist.
Oh no, ChatGPT's gonna kill us.
20 years of service in the military. Yesterday, I got pulled into an officer's office and counseled for posts that I have on my social media. During the counseling, they told me I'm under investigation as a threat to national security.
Uh-oh. Bye-bye, traitor.
Fortnite, but every time I die...
He is not martyr material.
If you're stuck in 200 review jail in 2025...
I planned to work out with my boyfriend, but he suddenly fell asleep.
To shake off the frustration, I went back to the party downstairs. We started playing.
If you're close to or already retired and worried about whether...
You said you don't know the number of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
It could be 1,000 times.
The number
right?
is a total misleading factor. We have not
Could
released
the number at least
anyone's
be 1,000
name.
times?
We have not released anyone's
Could it
name in
at
the
least
Epstein
be 1,000
files that has
times?
not been credible.
Director, could it at
we have
least be 1,000
released
times?
every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
you can
so-
characterize the numbers however you want it.
Claiming my time, Director. It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times. Which
It's not.
means
It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
1,000.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number, but it's not that.
Do you think it might be your job to know the number?
My job is to provide for the safety and security of this country. My job is not to engage in political
And that
innuendo
includes protecting
so you can
sexual
go out to the
assault victims.
sticks and get your 20-second hit in your fundraising
reclaiming my
article.
time,
But
Director.
keep going, reclaiming your time, because the
Director,
people of California
If
are
Trump-
being underserved by your
If the
representation.
president is not implicated, why not release everything that involves
We
him?
have released everything, the president and anyone else's side, that is credible and lawfully be able to be released. Your fixation on this matter and baseless accusations that I'm hiding
Also,
child
Mr. Massey's
pedophiles is disgusting.
interest.
Anyone that says that needs to look at the stats alone. And go back to the state of California, who's receiving the biggest surge in FBI resources through my redeployment because the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San
Reclaiming
Francisco
my time,
need it.
Director. Remembering your oath to tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you ever tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The Attorney General and I have had numerous discussions
He's good at
about
his job.
the
He's not
entirety
gonna
of the
talk.
Epstein files and the reviews conducted by our
He
team.
knows
Did you tell the
exactly
Attorney
what's going
General
to
that
happen
Donald
if he
Trump's name is in the
talks.
Epstein files?
And we have released where President Trump's
Did you-
name is in
it's
the
a simple
attorney's
question.
file.
Did you tell the
I
Attorney
think he
General that
likes
the
his head
president's
on
name
his
is in the Epstein
shoulders and money in the
During
account.
many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed.
The question is
painstakingly
simple.
Who
Did you
can
tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes
I
or
don't
no?
talk to people.
Use the alphabet.
Yes or
That's
no?
what- yeah, I
No,
talk to people
ABC.
actually.
Director, did-
In fact,
It sounds like you don't want
I've
to tell
never
us.
talked
Did you
to
tell
anyone
the
in my
Attorney
entire
General
life
that
until
Donald Trump's
now.
name was in the Epstein files?
Why don't you try serving your
Director,
constituency
did
by
you tell the
focusing on
Attorney
reducing
General
violent
that Donald
crime in this
Trump's name-
country and the number of pedophiles that are
Director,
legally
reclaiming
harbored
my time,
in your
Director.
sanctuary cities
So never-
in
Director,
California?
never
I'll
throw the
work with you
president
on
under the
that.
bus.
Do you
Regular
wanna
order,
work
Mr.
with us
Chairman.
on that?
Director,
I
reclaiming my
belong to
time.
the gentleman from California.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The question has been asked and answered.
You've not answered it, and we will take your evasiveness as a consciousness
I
of
already
guilt.
answered your question.
You said you don't know the number of times Trump.
Specific.
Who has heard of a bully slayer? Can you come and talk like the bully slayer? So as you know, the latest trend. Can you talk like the bully slayer? Oh my Diddy.
Someone else did it.
Remember that one? Did he? Did he really? He's got your ass now. He's on that Tartaria shit. But was he cloned? What have you done? What have you done? The bully slayer, one fell well, has not been cloned. It's just a conspiracy theory. Oh my Diddy.
That's so good.
To the Babylon.
Hey guys, I'm 15. I make around 3.2k.
A master thief walks into Paris's largest museum and delivers a letter detailing his heist plan directly into the curator's hands. When the curator sees Robin's signature, he becomes absolutely terrified because Robin isn't just a thief who strikes fear into the wealthy. He's also a man who never breaks his word. According to the letter's contents, Robin will strike at exactly 10 p.m. in 3 days to steal the museum's black pearl worth $2 billion. The curator immediately calls in the most elite security forces for protection because this black pearl isn't just priceless, it also symbolizes national pride. However, the letter's contents somehow get leaked to the media, and they go crazy with the story. Instantly, everyone knows about Robin's plan to steal the black pearl. Crowds gather in front of the museum, quietly waiting for this historic moment. Robin instantly becomes the people's gentleman thief. Some people even set up countdown timers for Robin. Security personnel maintain their guard around the black pearl. But as the countdown reaches 0, nothing happens, just when everyone thinks this was all just Robin's elaborate prank. Suddenly the hall's alarm goes off. Police immediately rush into the hall, carefully checking every security officer's face, but they come up empty-handed. At this moment, the museum curator spots something on the security cameras. One security officer is skillfully opening the emergency exit door, attempting to leave via the stairwell. The curator realizes this person must be Robin, and quickly sends security personnel toward the stairway. Robin has already changed into civilian clothes, ready to make his escape. Robin skillfully picks the door lock and is about to leave. Just then, security officer Tom arrives in time, and captures Robin in one swift move. And so Robin is led away in a police car in front of everyone. But the watching crowd doesn't complain. Instead, they cheer for Robin. Everyone even chants in unison. Robin instantly becomes the hero of all Paris. And all of this was part of Robin's master plan. 3 days earlier, Robin had approached his close friend, who happened to be the commanding officer of this Black Pearl protection operation. Tom and his crew staged this entire elaborate performance. First, they used the building beneath the statue in front of the museum as their base of operations. Then Tom used his position as commanding officer to demand the curator change the security codes, while Robin, positioned on the statue across the street, got a clear view of all the password entries. Next, Robin disguised himself as a security officer and infiltrated the hall where the Black Pearl was kept. When everyone let their guard down, he stole the $2 billion Black Pearl. Finally, his accomplice Tom captured him and escorted him to another friend's prearranged fake police car, successfully escaping in plain sight. For safety reasons, Robin got out of the car halfway, climbed up a drainpipe to the rooftop, hoping to shake off any police pursuit. But Robin was already being tracked by police snipers lying in wait. The police immediately redirected their forces toward Robin's location. Looking at the street dozens of meters wide before him, Robin prepares to take a desperate gamble. A master thief walks into Paris as...
If you're not running ads on TikTok...
Time is everything when it comes to running.
Alright, can be my number one. Won't you be my bubble gum? Yeah. Won't you be my bubble gum?
The biggest mistake you're making for your business is you.
What? If you're under 10,000 followers,
we're looking for people that want to become.
If you're under 10.
Hi, Charlie. I'm Nala Ray. It's so nice to be here today. So I was one of OnlyFans' top models for the last 5 years. And
everyone's cheering her. It's so
I
crazy.
got saved, and I radically gave my life to the Lord and gave that life up.
Praise the Lord.
So I want to know, would you support a ban on porn in America, and what would you do to make that happen?
If it's, unfortunately, I don't think it's legal, but absolutely. I mean, first of all, porn is no different than a digital opiate and an addiction. I mean, we've seen states that have made it harder to access, and porn rates have gone down. Yeah. But you were once an OnlyFans model. Yeah. What would you have to say to the danger and the damage that does to young people?
Honestly, so much. It depends on sex as well. It has different effects on men than it does women. Like for men, it shuts them down. They don't know how to be in good relationships. They don't know how to treat women. For women, it's all emotional. And they just continue to get compared to the women in porn.
This is not literally a debate.
Honestly,
it's just like, hey, can I just agree with you for a little bit?
It's also one of the fruits of the spirit. So I think America needs a revival right now.
They're all in they're all in the same club that you ain't in. All of them. All of them. And you know why they make that hand symbol? Because it looks like that. And that's the Freemason symbol. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear what Candace Owens has to say about it. That's a funny looking symbol too. I wonder what that one means. Remember, they love the number 3. As in 1, 2, 3. Funny how they're both making it. He's the supposedly. Now let's hear from Candace.
Those of you who think that you are going to replace Charlie Kirk, okay? Kings are born. You don't just get to depose and tell us that we're going to follow this individual.
Okay, tough girl.
Okay? I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA.
Excuse me? Baking powder?
I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA.
Oh.
You
Gotcha.
put a shill in Charlie Kirk's chair, in Charlie Kirk's company.
She's one of the Masons. One of the Masons. You know, the people all on the TV. Like, you can't get on the TV unless you join their elite club. Kind of like all of them. That's a funny symbol. It kind of looks like horns to me. And if you think it's I love you, come on. And you can't get on the TV unless you join the club. It's time to figure this out, people. They've been lying to
long enough. But of course, all this for entertainment purposes. I'm sure that every single ever celebrity in...
I want to let you know that I do not support...
Did you bring enough of that for everyone?
I must have left my cooler at home, Bill.
That's not very considerate. Classmates might be thirsty.
Fuck that. What the fuck I look like, Dr. Pepper?
My name is Mr. Perakowski. I'll be your new teacher.
Oh, yeah? And what's this so-called great lesson plan you got for us?
What am I holding?
Fuck, man, it's a yo-yo.
Now, define it further.
Say what?
What exactly is a yo-yo?
It's a stupid little toy, man.
That's right. Today, it's a toy. But 400 years ago, in the Philippines, it was a weapon. Perception. Now, what have we learned? Never judge a book by its cover. Next time, bring enough for everyone. Did you bring enough of that for...
An airplane flew so high that...
So I...
Storytelling.
Why would you want to kick out my housekeeper? Because we need to protect all big-booty Latinas. If you're a 9, you are fine. You get to stay. If you're an 8, we can have an immigration debate. If you're a 6, you can kick bricks. But Charlie, let's protect my housekeeper. Why does Juanita have to go, Charlie?
But you said she's legal, right?
She's illegal, yes.
Oh, illegal. Okay,
illegal. Oh, yeah, she's very illegal. No papers.
I'm sorry. They all got to go.
No, but Charlie,
My small business...
Good job blocking the bike lane.
Hey, get out of the way!
Off! Hey, pay the f***ing attention! Can we keep the bike lane clear?
Shopify helped me take my small...
You are an idiot if you're not watching these 3 stocks for Wednesday's trading day. Today, this stock exploded over 650% in just a couple of hours. So that means the market is still extremely hot and these 3 stocks could be the next big move. If you missed the crazy move today on TURB, don't worry because my top stock for tomorrow looks absolutely incredible. And as always, I'll be saving my absolute favorite stock for last, so make sure to watch the full video if you like making money. First up on the list is the stock that's up over 300% over the last few trading days on AIRE. AIRE is putting in place a pretty awesome looking tightening wedge with a nice higher low forming here off $1.12. What I want to be looking for here for an entry tomorrow is if price pulls back and we see buyers step back in off this higher low off $1.12. If we see price get bought up aggressively to confirm that bottom, there is room here to the upside all the way back to 150 and 180 back into that previous high. Now this thing looks awesome, but of course as always, no confirmation, no trade. Next up, number 2 is the massive 50% explosion today in after hours on QNRX. Now this thing looks incredible as it tests its 200-day moving average. Tuned in every single night for my top stock watch list. Now that stock here is the massive mover on ATCH. Over the last 2 days, this thing has put in place a beautiful tightening wedge, and if this thing is breaking back to the upside, it could make a massive move. Now what that looks like here is I want to first see a break of trend, of course, over $1 a share. If we find strength over that dollar level, then look for pullbacks to set up over 90 cents. If we then see buyers come back in to put in place the higher low over 90 cents on the break of trend, we then have room to the upside all the way to 118 and 170, all the way over that previous high. Of course, that's if we break and confirm. Otherwise, no trade. To get access to my entire stock...
Please.
TikTok keep...
What'd he say?
He said if Trump...
Why are you pulling me forward? For what? Y'all tripping, bro. Peace.
He didn't get away.
This is how I created images for 10 videos.
He was holding a piece of paper in his hand, which said, "I am deaf and blind." If you can help me cross the street, please tap me. Seeing this, a young black man looked at the elderly man for a moment, then glanced around. Cautiously, he reached out and tapped the old man. The old man felt his presence, then took out a paper and pen, wrote a line saying, "I need to take bus number 15. The young man, seeing this, gestured for the elderly man to move toward the nearby traffic light. He intended to leave, but as he saw the cars coming and going on the road, he couldn't bring himself to just walk away. He gently placed the old man's hand on his shoulder and led him to the bus station. Just then, the young man received a text. A friend had offered him a place to stay for the night. It turned out that the young man was homeless. The elderly man then wrote another line, asking when the next bus would arrive. The young man checked the bus schedule and tried to inform the old man, but wasn't sure how to do it. The old man couldn't hear or see, he could only feel. So, the young man tapped the old man's palm 10 times, indicating that the next bus would come in 10 minutes. Sighing with relief, he was about to head to his friend's house, but as soon as he turned around, he saw the bus across the street, which had passed without waiting for the old man. If he left now, how would the old man, who couldn't see or hear, know when the bus would come? So, the young man took off his backpack, sat next to the elderly man again, and tapped him, signaling that he was still there. The elderly man also tapped the young man in return. This simple gesture brought two lonely souls together in the cold winter. The elderly man then wrote again, saying he wanted to buy a bottle of water. The young man, helpless, wrote in the elderly man's palm, "Can you wait a moment?" The old man immediately wrote, "I'm very thirsty." Feeling sorry for him, the elderly man when they reached 128th Street. Just before the old man got off the bus, the young man wrote in his palm, "Can you manage on your own?" The old man nodded and wrote in the young man's palm, "You'll be fine." He then gave the young man a heartfelt hug as the bus drove off.
Open a Chime checking account in 2 minutes.
Russia has blown the whistle on a U.S. devaluation scheme.
America is trying to change the rules in the gold and cryptocurrency markets. Remember how much debt they have, $35 trillion.
Dropping a global bombshell this week, accusing the U.S. of plotting to erase its $37 trillion debt burden by taking said debt, shoving it into crypto, devaluing it, and then resetting the system with a gold revaluation. A series of moves that wouldn't just impact those using cryptocurrency, but would impact the entire dollar system, meaning your savings, your retirement, your paycheck. But the scariest part is that the plan is already in motion. In case you missed it, Anton Kobiakov, a senior advisor to Russian President Vladimir Putin, made a bold claim this week at the Eastern Economic Forum, stating that the United States is preparing to reset the system, using crypto and gold to erase its massive debt burden.
Driving everyone where? Into the cryptocurrency cloud. Right now they have a $35 trillion currency debt. They move it into crypto, into the cloud, devalue it, and start from scratch.
But here's where it gets interesting. Just a few months ago, President Trump signed into law the Genius Act, legislation that creates regulatory framework for stablecoins. Stablecoins being a type of cryptocurrency that maintain a stable value by being pegged to a real-world asset, such as the dollar. But not all is as it appears.
We're going to be stuck
On the
with
surface,
a
it was hailed as
cryptocurrency.
innovative, and the U.S.
We're done
adopting
with,
a new digital
the
world
cash
that will keep us
system.
competitive. But if you look a little bit closer, there are many who say this is the foundation and legal framework for the United States to use these stablecoins as a lifeline for our debt. None of this even takes into consideration the fact that these stablecoins could also be a Trojan horse for financial control over the American people, taking away our freedom and privacy. But that is a separate video that I've already covered. If you want to watch that, I will link it below. But back to the government.
Your ads deserve to work harder.
Just give it a little spritz, and then it'll make it floppy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this way, you know, they can play with it, and it also has a sanitizer in it, so it's... You want to try it?
Yeah.
You want to spray a pencil?
Okay, yeah, let's try this pencil.
Yeah, just give it a little squirt from there. Try not to hit anything else in the area. Give it a little mist. Yep.
Oh my god.
Great.
That's so cool. Does it ever go back hard?
Wow. No, and that's for safety.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's got the needle nozzle.
So stupid.
Okay.
And then if you want to take...
Something happened in our...
Want to see?
I'm a millionaire. My job is collecting.
No, thank you. build it any further because no one ever made it that far.
People keep asking me why the timing is so critical. Why September? Why right now? Here's the answer. If you're seeing this before September 14th, 2025, you're in a rare window of opportunity. This could completely change the way you earn money, no matter where you live or what you...
For all those people who was wondering what happened to Tartaria,
Bully Slayer
we
again.
might have just found it. This may be the modern day Tartaria. So, Turkmenistan is a country found in Central Asia. And I don't know who their architect was, but their buildings look Tartarian. So let's take a closer look. As you can see, we've got gold domes on top of the buildings, which we now know to be natural energy conductors. It's been a long time since somebody made a building this way. And look at this one. This looks like a modern day pyramid. That looks like a spaceship. Like, what do you think the purpose of this building is? Now that's definitely a natural energy conductor. So yeah, it's definitely one of those cases.
I've seen this place on Google Maps.
Don't build like that anymore. For all those people.
When it comes to superstars, you have to remember the beginning, what it was like before. Before they're in video games, before they become massive features or work with the biggest artists in the world. And that's where DistroKid comes in. They all had to start somewhere. And in 21 Savage's case, he was really smart about it. See, 21 knew that if he wanted to grow as an artist, he needed help from a platform like DistroKid. He needed distribution.
Oh, that's nice. You guys gonna play a little guitar for the folks? They'll like that. Just make sure you do. Oh my God, you stabbed Hadfield in the face. Oh God, can we get an ambulance out there? I mean, up there, a space ambulance? Hey, how you guys doing up there? Good. Oh gosh. Oh, what was that? Space turbulence? You guys all right? Wow. I hope it's a... Oh God, it happened again. Wait, why are we splicing it together with people on an aircraft performing parabolic movements designed to simulate zero gravity? That's weird. Totally unrelated. All right, guys, looking good. Oh, you dropped the paper. You know what? That's all right. As long as someone doesn't slow it down and replay it, we're fine. Oh, shit. They're slowing it down and replaying it. Yeah, we're all going to need new jobs. Hey, Derek, why don't you give a wave to the folks at home? Wait, no, you turned your head. The suits aren't supposed to do that. You're not supposed to turn your head at... Maybe the guys in the shuttle are doing better. Hey, guys, how you doing in there? Oh, God, there they go, glitching out again. Oh, and you can see...
Struggling to expand your audience? TikTok Ads Manager has a solution.
Which one matters more?
These connections keep getting weirder and weirder. So right at the end of this press conference where Kash Patel announces that they caught Charlie Kirk's killer, Tyler Robinson, Kash Patel ends it with Charlie Kirk, I'll see you in Valhalla.
Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Now, what's interesting is that one of the pictures that they put out of Tyler Robinson shows Tyler Robinson in his bedroom next to his computer. On the computer is a picture of an island. That island is called Goat Island, and it's located in New Zealand, that has a retreat called Valhalla. Isn't that weird? That's just weird. These connections keep getting...
Which one matters?
8 years ago when I was 19
Maybe
years
that's
old.
where he went.
If God is so loving and so powerful, then why do you suffer so much? Why do innocent people get raked over the coals? What's going on? Doesn't God care? Or is he simply too weak to do anything about it? So why? Why does God allow
This guy's usually got to get
people to get destroyed by circumstances, by other people? Is God disinterested? First part of the answer is, I do not know. I don't know why God allowed evil and suffering. For thousands of years, philosophers and theologians far more intelligent than me have struggled with that issue, and they've never come up with an ultimate answer. And the Bible does not answer that question ultimately. So I do not know. And I can promise you in 1997, when I went out to Madison, Wisconsin, where my brother, younger brother, was a transplant surgeon, transplanting kidneys and livers, I went out there because his 7-year-old daughter had just been crushed in a car accident to death. And if you think that I'm going to go out, meet my brother, who's far more intelligent than I'll ever be, and explain to him why God allowed his 7-year-old daughter to be crushed by a pickup truck coming down the road at 55 miles an hour, why the babysitter didn't see the stop sign, ran the stop sign, and that pickup truck slammed to the side of the car, sending my 7-year-old niece to an early grave, I'm not going to do that, because I'd be lying. I do not know why God allowed evil and suffering. Yeah, but come on, Cliff, you got to think. Well, yeah, we do have to think. You're right. And one of my thoughts on the issue is this, which I think is very biblical. God chose to limit his power by creating us with a free will. Which means I can either pull out my wallet and give you money to eat lunch, or I can roll this hand into a fist, send it crashing into your handsome face. I am free to do either. And what the Bible teaches is in Genesis chapter 1, God created us in his image, which means we are not robots, we're not machines. And I like to walk, so if I stumble and fall off of this stage, I'm not going to pick myself up at the bottom and say, phew, I'm glad that's over with. That's determinism. That's fatalism. God creates us in his image, which means we're not robots. We're not machines. We're human beings created with a soul, a personality. But it also means we got a free will. And if we want to abuse our free will, we can go right ahead and do it. But there will be a day of judgment when God promises to hold us responsible for the free decisions that we have made. And that's why Joshua stands before the people of Israel and says, if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So Genesis 1 says, God created this and God saw that it was good. And God created that and God saw that it was good. And you got to get the point, guys. When an author repeats and repeats and repeats a little phrase, obviously he's trying to get the point across. When God created, he did a good job. And that little phrase, God saw that it was good, is repeated and repeated and repeated in Genesis 1. But in Genesis chapter 3, we read how human beings rebelled against God. They didn't eat an apple. They ate some fruit. But that is symbolic of their rebellion against God. It's symbolic of sin. And why do I sin? I sin because I think I'm smarter than God, and I know it'll make me happier. So I'm going to do it my way instead of God's ways. Not because I'm trying to be evil. I'm not trying to be evil. I'm trying to be happy. My problem is I think I know how to make Cliff happier than God knows. And that's basically what Adam and Eve did. We know what'll make us happier. We will define good and evil. We will assume Godhood. And when they made that decision, that's where the train got off the track. That's where the arrow missed the mark, and things got ugly fast. Because when God steps back, chaos fills the gap. Now, what's one of the main points of the book of Job? One of the main points of the book of Job in the Old Testament is, life is unfair, God is fair. Don't get the two mixed up. Life is unfair, God is fair. Do not get the two mixed up. So when you suffer, if you clench your fist and wave it at God, that's misplaced anger. Misplaced anger. It's not God who's getting you. Rather, it's you're born into a cursed, unfair, messed up world. Life hurts. And to blame God is a cop-out. The same way if I hold back, slap you in the face, and then turn to you and say, God made me do it. That is a cop-out. I'm lying through my teeth to you. He gave me a free will. I am responsible for feeding you, or I am responsible for slapping you. God gave me that innate ability. That's part of why I believe we have a soul. Because you see, friends, if there is no God, you don't have a free will. If there is no God, you just are a chemical reaction between your two ears. That's all you are. And determinism wins the day. Fatalism wins the day. What will be, will be. What is, is. No, the Bible teaches we've been created in the image of God. We have a soul, and that means a rational mind, a free will, the ability to love or to hate or to be indifferent. We choose.
Is there anyone who hates Charlie Kirk who also didn't take the jab? Asking for a friend. Is there anyone who hates Charlie?
Ever wonder how people post so often?
Sylvester Stallone is looking for worker, offering 15.
I was told you are supporting gay pride and you have.
Hey, you want to be an actor?
White people didn't.
You might have some accurate hits. I'll admit that. But even.
Ever wonder how people post?
This guy bought a school bus and is going.
Daddy, I'm a Ninja Turtle.
Америка прямо сейчас пытается поменять правила на рынке золота и криптовалют. Вспомните, какой у них долг. 35 триллионов долларов. В общем-то, это два альтернативных валюта к валютному сегменту мировых рынков. Действия Вашингтона в этом направлении отчетливо демонстрируют одну из главных американских задач.
Wait a minute, there's no way this is right. In this classic 90s Britney Spears music video, Hit Me Baby One More Time, her skirt was plaid, right? Wait, what? No, there's no way. And while we're on Britney Spears, she had a microphone in this video, didn't she? Like the one that attaches? Where did that go? Oh, you're saying she never had it? Well, then why did Lizzie McGuire have one when she parodied the video? And why did the doll have it? And do you remember Snuffy, Big Bird's companion from Sesame Street? Do you remember his full name? Snuffleupagus, right? Wrong, it was apparently Snuffleupagus. And do you remember Tweedledee and Tweedledum from Alice in Wonderland? And the little propellers on their hats, right? Wrong, they were apparently flags. And you remember the Disney theme opening where Tinkerbell flies in and dots the I? I guess Disney says that actually never happened. My guess is maybe we're confusing it with this one. Let me know which ones you remember. Wait a minute.
So in this video, you can see me grabbing a lemon, right? I cut it in half, and then I cut it in half once more, right there. You can see me cut it, right? I go get a bag. Okay, I grab the bag, I go back for the lemon, and I grab the lemon, and I touch it, and I'm like, why is it not cut in half? In my face, I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm like inspecting it, I take it out of the bag, I grab this lemon, trying to see if I cut that one, I recut the lemon, because the lemon was...
I don't know.
A girl suddenly... A 9-year-old girl was rushing to school.
Want to stop guessing and start it.
On people look down a glass of wine, you know, my childhood.
To those of you who think that you are going to replace Charlie Kirk, okay? Kings are born. You don't just get to depose and tell us that we're going to follow this individual, okay? I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA. You put a shill.
It's pretty cryptic that she
in
says
Charlie
the word
Kirk's
Mason.
chair,
I don't know what she means by that.
Charlie Kirk's
I was talking about that,
company, and you try
what
to
does
tell
she
us
mean
to
by that?
follow that individual.
I don't know.
I will be an enemy of you. There will be nothing that can stop me. Okay? And I want you guys to understand, this is not a threat. This is a promise. There will be nothing that can stop me. I will release every single text message. So to those of you who are trying that, I'm seeing the messages. I am telling you to back off right now. Like right now. Don't do it. Okay? Don't you think about it. I know exactly who you are. I know exactly who you were that were exerting pressure. Don't.
Let's see what new headlines are going on.
The Trump administration is openly threatening to take away the broadcast license from news stations in America who say anything Donald Trump doesn't like. Horrific development today. Brendan Carr, who's the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, threatened ABC, the entire network, which includes ABC News, over a comment by a comedian. And the strangest part is what the comedian said was true, and it wasn't harsh. I'm going to read you this from CNN. The FCC's Trump-aligned chairman on Wednesday threatened to take action against Disney and ABC over Jimmy Kimmel, the comedian's, recent comments about Charlie Kirk's suspected killer. During his Monday evening monologue, Kimmel suggested Kirk's alleged killer, Tyler Robinson, might have been a pro-Trump Republican. Quote, "The MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving." Actually, CNN got it wrong. That comment is not trying to suggest he was MAGA. All that comment said was they are doing everything they can to point the finger at Democrats. That is true. It's simply true. Well, in response, the Brendan Carr, the Republican chairman of the FCC, says the comments were the sickest conduct possible. Again, he simply told the truth, and it wasn't really a mean truth at all. Sickest comment possible. He suggested the FCC could move to revoke ABC's affiliate license as a way to force them to punish the comedian. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, he said. These companies can find ways to change conduct and take actions on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. He just ordered them to fire a comedian, or the government was going to come down on the station. Because the comedian made a comment that wasn't a joke, that simply observed that the Republicans were trying to do anything they could to paint the killer as a...
All right, here's the deal. Kamala Harris voters, members of the 4 a.m. club.
Where are Trump...
We have breaking news right now. Donald Trump is celebrating the Jimmy Kimmel cancellation and is calling on NBC to now do the same to Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon.
That's so stupid.
To those of you who think that you
There are only 2 men left in this country.
The boy went crazy after watching a Superman movie. He even wore a Superman costume, preparing to fly. His parents were cheering him on. They even
Watch me transform my voice.
Who's your good boy?
Jules was pushed off a cliff by her friend Jackie. However, when Jackie went down to check, she found that Jules was gone. She only found a bloodstained necklace on the ground. The seriously injured Jules...
Our TikTok blew up. We have all these new orders.
I know. I use TikTok ads.
See my prediction on Miss Charlie Kirk's wife, and this post right here. Did you see my prediction?
Okay, one final thing. His wife posted this just a few days before. It's kind of strange how they're all in black.
Mm-hmm.
And then she brings up a certain day.
What date?
And date.
What date, Tyler? What date?
I wouldn't be surprised if his services are on that date. And if they are, I want you to come back to this video and put in the comments how right I was about it all. Because she's telling you about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Would you look at that? September 16th. Oh, at 6:30. 3 plus 3 and 3. So a bunch of 3s again. You're being played, people. He's alive and well and laughing at you. Laughing. And while you're crying...
There's so many things around it that make it seem like it was a setup of some sort.
Because I point that out a lot. I don't want to throw them back in my face. I am against these liars in every way possible. And all on... See my prediction on Miss Charlie Kirk's wife.